I think he was convinced that this was a koan-like statement, not really accessible to comprehension. "Sure," I replied. "It means something along the lines of, when you get to the second stoplight, take a left." Andrew just stared at me. "It's a travel direction," I continued. "It's not a priceless pearl of wisdom like wear a seatbelt or brush between meals. It's just a simple piece of advice like one traveler who's been to a particular place might offer another who is going there." Andrew still wasn't getting it, probably because I was amusing myself with guru babble. I made an effort to express myself more clearly. On the road to enlightenment, there's one magic word. It's your mantra, your battle cry. The word is further. Very important. Big deal. We don't have to concern ourselves with the importance of further right now. Just take my word for it. Someday, maybe in this life, you're going to begin the process of true awakening, and a word like further can serve as a very powerful talisman. There's no real reason to dwell on the kill the Buddha thing now except to get it out of your head. By which I mean, there's no real benefit to you in understanding this except to not dwell on it anymore. The time will come when you understand it for yourself in totality. And after that, you'll probably never give it another thought, just like any single piece of direction on a long journey. Despite my cautious disclaimers, Andrew was on the edge of his seat, waiting to find out why he should kill the Buddha. There are times in the process of waking up when those who have traveled the path before you can come to your aid and provide a clue as to your next step. That's really all that any teacher or teaching can really provide, the occasional signpost. It may be in a big, general way, like the word further, or it may be in a small, specific way, like the kill the Buddha thing. When I went through it all, I did it without a teacher or guru, but I had the help of many previous travelers who had taken the trouble to leave signs and warnings and hints along the way. Poets, philosophers, sages, serious people, people who took the time to set down what they knew for those that would come after. I pause for a minute, unsure that I want to discuss this. I guess I do. It's a somewhat disconcerting aspect of the journey that you catch up to and go beyond some of your own mentors. Move beyond people you've held in the highest possible regard. I was acutely aware of this occurring on several occasions, and I can tell you that it's a strange and daunting experience, all the more so because it's quite specific and unmistakable when it happens. These are the giants in the field, so to speak, and the simple though peculiar-sounding fact is that I became very close to these people, and in a very real sense, when I came to where they had stopped off, I stopped with them and paid my deepest respects, and moved beyond them with a heavy heart. I have no idea how that sounds to someone who hasn't experienced it, but it was a wrenching part of the whole thing, and it feels good to tell someone about it. Andrew seemed absorbed in my reminiscences. I was careful not to mention the names of my mentors to Andrew. The teachers we need will always be there when we need them. No need to track down someone else's. Kill the Buddha is one of these signs that has been left by a previous traveler. It has a very specific application. It has meaning at one particular juncture that one comes to on the path. Rather late in the journey, as I recall. It means nothing before you reach this particular place. Then the time comes when you're there, and the next thing you're supposed to do isn't exactly clear to you. In fact, the wrong thing seems quite correct and is extremely tempting. And then, as if from nowhere, this absurd little phrase about killing the Buddha pops into your head, and your heart swells with inexpressible gratitude, and you know what to do, and danger of slipping back into a coma is averted. I laughed at the power of the memory. That's life on the path, man. It's a trip. I spent a few moments in my own fond remembrances before summarizing for Andrew. It means further. At a very exact point in the journey, when it would be very easy to sit down and think you're done, it means get up. You're not there yet. Don't be deceived. Don't be sentimental. Don't be complacent. Keep moving. You think you're there, but you're not. You're still seeing two where there's only one. That image you're kneeling in front of, whoever it is, whatever it is just another projection of your own bullshit. Kill the fucking thing and keep going. That's what it means. I looked over at Andrew. He stared back at me with unabashed awe. I can appreciate that. It's an awesome thing. Chapter 12. There is only one truth. In all 10 directions of the universe, there is only one truth. When we see clearly, the great teachings are the same. What can ever be lost? What can be attained? If we attain something, it was there from the beginning of time. If we lose something, it is hiding somewhere near us. Look, this ball in my pocket. Can you see how priceless it is? Ryokan. Chapter 13. I will obtain the ultimate truth. I was dreaming that I was a butterfly fluttering happily. Suddenly, I awoke. Now, I wonder who I am. A man who dreamed he was a butterfly? Or a butterfly dreaming it is a man? Chuang Tzu. Winter hasn't been particularly harsh this year. A bit cold early on, and a little lacking in drama blizzard-wise, but not bad compared to some. February, March, and April can be gray and depressing, and nerves can get a bit frazzled. But we were spared most of that this time around. We're now at the beginning of what's shaping up to be a wet spring. Wet or dry, spring is always very welcome here. It's rejuvenating to see color burst onto the scene after such a long absence. Suddenly, after months of seemingly interminable browns and grays, it happens as if from the wave of a wand. Color bursts from the ground and the trees and the sky as the whole thing just wakes up frisky. You only get a nice day every week or two in early April, so no one misses an opportunity to get out there and start prepping the gardens for the new season. I'm an old soul, if you care to look at things that way, and I feel like I'm supposed to be out there puttering around in a cutting garden or tending grapes and communing deeply with nature. But I'm not really coded for that. Sometimes I'll mow the grass if I can find the tractor, a full gas can and a bit of motivation all at the same time, but as you might guess, those three planets don't line up too often. I'm not totally inert, mind you. I go for long walks and bike rides every chance I get. I usually walk alone, but when I go bicycling, I'll sometimes invite someone to come along, but not today. I stow my mountain bike securely in the back of the pickup and head into the nearby town, where I can enjoy a 15 or 20-mile ride through neighborhoods and nature trails and around the heart of the small downtown area. I drive to the park at the edge of town and prepare the bike for riding. As I'm getting ready, a serious bicyclist, complete with helmet, gloves, bike shorts, and those shoes that clip to the pedals, pulls up and strikes up a conversation. She's a pretty blonde, petite, almost frail, probably not even 18 yet. "You're Jed, aren't you?" she asks. My ride is off to a bad start. This is why I don't come into town much. I seem to have developed a low-level fame, just enough to cause occasional discomfort, like now. I admit to being Jed. "Cool, I recognize you. My name's Jolene. I've been out to the Jed Zone a few times. I've seen you there. I smile. She's pleasant. Being recognized annoys me more in theory than in practice, I guess. The Jed Zone thing makes me laugh. I've heard it before. There's some buzz in town about the house, and I'm sure there are some rumors I'd rather not know about. Of course, they need something to call the place. Jed Zone is cute. I remember seeing you, I say, but we've never spoken, have we? I'm being chatty. I do remember seeing her out at the house now that I picture her without the helmet, but I don't have to ask if we've spoken. I know we haven't. No, she says, laughing. I'm, just a kid, really. I don't think I would have anything to say that would interest you. I have my bike set up with water bottles and my little bike bag with a copy of Ramurti S. Mishra's book, Fundamentals of Yoga, tucked away in case I find a shady tree to sprawl out under. I don't get on my bike just yet. What were you doing out at the house? I ask. I can't bring myself to call it the Jed Zone. Did you come out with friends? Yeah, she says. She starts rattling off the names of some people, only one of which I recognize. She explains that they came out a few times the previous summer and fall to do some work on the gardens and to strip and paint one of the outbuildings, and then for a bonfire one night as well. Well, that taps me out for the small talk, I tell her. Would you like to ride together for a while? She would. I make the usual lame excuses an almost 40-year-old guy would say before launching into a physically demanding activity with a well-equipped and clearly athletic team. We take off together and set a comfortable pace for a lap around the park before venturing into town and beyond. I am more open to company on bike rides than on walks because biking is less conducive to conversation, especially when you're trying to maintain 12 to 15 miles an hour on wooded trails or when you're riding in traffic without strict observance of the rules of the road. It's a nice day, and the ride is very pleasant. I can hold my own with Jolene without straining too much, or maybe she's taking it easy on me. We dart through some subdivisions with smooth roads and then into some paved trails that take us out of town for several hilly miles, letting us build up to a fun speed before ducking into an entrance to a forest preserve. In the preserve, we stay mainly on paved roads because Jolene's bike isn't built for rough terrain. Eventually, we turn and head up a steep hill that I can only climb halfway up before dismounting and pushing my bike. She continues riding, but in a back-and-forth pattern that keeps her close to me. Show off, I grumble. She laughs. At the top of the hill, I step up onto one pedal and coast along to an unpeopled picnic area overlooking a small lake. I pull out a water bottle and drink while I get my wind back. I think I'm going to sit around here for a few minutes and read, I tell her, assuming she'll take that as her cue to move on, half hoping that she won't. Can I hang around with you some more? She asks. I have a book, too. I won't pester you. I've never been around a real live mystic before. I chuckle at that. Yes, you can hang around if you like, but I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you on the mystic thing. I'm not a very mystical guy. She has no response to that. Instead, she surprises me by snatching my book away and tossing me hers. I guess pretty young girls can be impertinent and flirty like that, but it's been a while since I've been on the receiving end of it. Out at the house, everyone tends to be a little reverential, which can get tedious. The book she sticks me with is one of those little collections of Zen aphorisms compiled by an editor who probably got stuck with the project during a lull in the Calks of Borneo publishing cycle. Hard to blame them, really. If I had a publishing house, I'd pound out little Zen books as fast as the editors could rustle up profound-sounding quips by anyone with an Oriental name or title. As long as the cover design bespeaks elegance, simplicity, and everything inside is unintelligible, you have a surefire